What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, I'm here with some book reviews. Let's get it.
Favorite reader, that's who you are. Traveling near, traveling far. Through every chapter, you're the star. Favorite reader, that's who you are.
Okay, let's just jump into it. First, I'm starting with Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. This was the book club pick for my book club with my two sons. I done told y'all the little one, he like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Okay, he's here for the movie. Sometimes he pays attention and reads portions of things. He didn't touch Jurassic Park, but he did watch the movie with us. So there's that. But yeah, this was the pick for July. This was actually my son's pick. And then for August, I get to choose. Anyways, this, if you don't know, is about a group of geneticists who want to create like a dinosaur themed park, but with real dinosaurs. It's full of adventure. I feel like everybody knows what this is about. It's high stakes, it's fast paced. And typically, I like Michael Crichton's writing, and this was no different. I really did enjoy it. My son enjoyed it. They have a second book called The Lost World. He already checked it out from the library. And before now, I had already read this, but I never read Lost World. So I'm unsure if I'm going to read the second book. But I was kind of nervous at first. I didn't think he'd like this. This is one of the books where I thought he really would like the movie, but I was on the fence if he would actually like the book. But he did. And I was thoroughly surprised. I just thought some stuff like I feel like he has to read when he's a little bit older. Like he tried when I read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. He tried to read The Hobbit and he was just like not feeling like the atmospheric writing at first. He didn't care about it. He thought it was kind of boring, but he loved the movies. I thought this would be kind of like that, but he really did enjoy this. He said he'd retry The Hobbit in later years, but it was pretty long too. Let me see. This is 458 pages, so I also thought he might get bored and tired reading through it, but he didn't. He shocked me. He shocked me. He actually finished this a little bit before I did. So yeah, interesting, fast paced, suspenseful. I liked it this time like I liked it the first time. We got to rewatch the movies, and it's always cool to see like how my sons think about stuff that I've read before, and not just stuff that I read. So like for August, I'm picking a book that neither one of us have read. I don't know what it is yet. I'm trying to choose between three, but yeah, so that's it. Jurassic Park. Let me know if you read this. Book one. I enjoyed that. That was a good read. I'm trying to say there's a book in this list that I don't, it's the only book that I really don't have a positive review for. And I'm going to say that one to last. So let me just go in order. I'm going to say that one to last. I did a reread of A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. This is my third time reading it. And what I liked about it this go round, I think everything I liked about it at first, I still liked, but I liked it more intensely. Like, I feel like I sat with stuff a little bit longer. Things meant a little bit more. They had more stock. And I was thinking about like this Black family and everybody's roles, like familial roles. I really feel like I understood the roles more now than I did before. I had less empathy for a couple of characters, but I feel like that's the beauty of it. And it really speaks to like where I'm at in life and how like my outlook and perspective have changed. This book is about a Chicago family who wants more. They want more for the next generation. They want more for themselves. And they get an opportunity to do something with it. Like they get the opportunity and they see what they're going to do with it. You got a man and his family, his sister, his mom, and they all kind of live together. And everybody has their own role in this family. The young Travis is like the optimistic, hopeful. He's young, like everything gonna be okay, kind of gives like a breath of fresh air. Then you got the dad in here who is That's one of the characters I had slightly less empathy with than the first time, because the second time I read it, I really was like stuck on his plight. Like, dang, like what must be on the shoulders of this man having to deal with XYZ when he can't do XYZ. And I was really like empathizing with that. And I kind of ignored another thing that I feel like I picked up more on. And again, I feel like it's because of where I'm at now in life, and the mom who was recently widowed. And it's just, when this came out, it was so influential and impactful and like one of its kind, just in its portrait of what the American Black family looked like. And it still is. It's still a good representation of like what that family looked like, that nuclear and extended family during this time. It's a great commentary on like identity, and even like thinking back to your African roots while also knowing like your own American soil right now, you know? To think about where you fall into the family, what role you have, what you owe other people in your household and what you don't. Making right decisions. Like, it's little. This is a little play. Let me see how many pages it is. It's tiny. It's 151 pages, but it's also a little book. It's a tiny little play that packs a punch. And this is proof. I like reading plays, but this is proof that you can get it done in 150. So yeah. This was good. I'm glad I reread that. Glad. The next one, I feel like I'm flying through these, but I don't really have anything else to say about those. Definitely enjoyed it. The next book I read is called A House Without Windows by Nadia Hashimi. This is a book that takes place in Afghanistan, and it's a woman dealing with imprisonment. Let me see. I don't think it's a spoiler. Okay, yeah. So the book starts off, it's not a spoiler because that's not even what, it starts off with this, and that's not even what like the heart of it is. But the book starts off with a woman talking about her husband, and then he's found brutally murdered. You go through all of that. He has kids with her, he has a family, everything, and you get to see this woman like imprisoned and what happens with that. You get to see how her kids react, what the community thinks. Like, so yeah, she finds herself in prison with a group of women who are all there pretty much for like crimes of morality or immorality. And at the heart of that is like understanding like societal norms and what's expected, understanding their like gender traditional roles in this book, but also like this unlikely friendship that forms and this sisterhood that forms. And even it's almost like, I don't know, there's just deep connection that's formed within those walls. Yeah, like, I saw some criticism on this book that said like the author pretty much beat us over the head with this conversation about oppression and morality. But I feel like in the way that the book was set up, I feel like it was well done to me. I wasn't bored while I read it, and that was another criticism that I saw. But yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good look at like the decisions we make, why we make them, and then the implications of it. I thought it was a good look at when you go so long with accepting something, like what's that tipping point where you like, okay, enough is enough? Or what's that tipping point where you feel like I've been inactive for so long, now it's time for me to leave that inaction and do something. Like, I always like stuff like that, especially when we're looking at this through the lens of a woman who is a mother and a daughter and doesn't have the best relationship with her mother. So you got to see like those relationships. And yeah, this is also a good look at what you have to confront. Well, this is a good look at when you're a prisoner, what you have time to confront, what you're almost forced to sit with and deal with. Also a good look at like succumbing to your circumstances and just accepting your fate, giving up versus when to keep fighting, and just how suffocating some situations can be in circumstances, just how like stifled you can feel and how you can lose hope. A very good conversation about hope and not hope. And in this book, the woman who I said whose husband was found murdered, she gets an attorney that her brother found for her. And he is really like trying to fight for her in this country, in this town, in this community that already like assumed based on just the strength of it that she was guilty because she's a woman. And women only got a few roles in their eyes. And so he was really like trying to fight for her. He was born in Afghanistan, but he went to America, went to school in America, like stayed there for a little bit and came back. And I don't know, that was satisfying too to see like how Afghanistan was always his home. Like he always felt this longing to go back. I know not all people feel that way, but when he went back and saw that it was hard and saw that a lot of things were unjust, he really did try to do his part to make a difference. And that was beautiful to me. So yeah, A House Without Windows. Okay, now this last stack, imagine all these together. This last stack I have all because of this book. Only God Can Judge Me, The Many Lives of Tupac Shakur by Jeff Pearlman. I was so excited to get this book. I was so excited to get this book. I got this during a book outlet sale and was so excited to jump into it. I'm so glad. This is not the first book that I read about Tupac. And I am so grateful for that. So grateful for that. This is probably in a lot of ways the most informative book that I've read about Tupac. And in some ways, it's the most informative. And even that is kind of like, I'm even questioning, yeah, it's the most informative in some ways. I can say that. But it's my least favorite out of every book I've ever read on Tupac. And I have 3 here, even though I have a 4th. I have the authorized biography of Tupac. I don't know where it's at. It's somewhere in this house. But that's the other book that I have, and I'll talk about those in a minute. This one rubbed me the wrong way. I know, and I'm aware that I can be sensitive in some ways. I can be sensitive to like how certain stories are told. And that's a me thing. That's like my perspective, what I feel, that type of deal. And this book rubbed me the wrong way multiple times and like throughout the entire book. While the information, this is a good example. And this is probably everything I don't want to do in my own research. It's a good example of like trying to gather information to support a thesis without trying to have any kind of understanding or nuance, or without trying to manage or at least call out your bias, or without anything deeper than like trying to get a hook on this like one like premise that you're really trying to drive home. Like, this is a good example of presenting information to support whatever claims you're trying to support and ignoring everything else or minimizing everything else and not respecting like a community or individuals or people along the way. The way that this author wrote about Afeni, which is Tupac's mom, like, man, I did not like that at all. I did not like that at all. The way he wrote about Tupac at times, like, it just seemed gross in a lot of ways. I just didn't like it. It seems very like voyeuristic and very like I'm trying to get like tabloid. Like, it really rubbed me the wrong way, the way the story was told. I learned a lot. Now, let me say that. There's a lot in here that I don't think was covered in the other books, and that was good. I don't know. And don't get me wrong. Let me say this. I don't think that when you write a biography about somebody that you have to praise them. I actually don't think that that's the best approach either. I don't think you have to just like sing their praises and just tell like a one-sided thing and be biased in that way. I really don't. I wouldn't like that either. But I do think you owe it to whoever, like the reader of your book is, and even a person, to present things respectfully. And I personally want a balanced biography. I want you to state the facts. I want you to like give information, but I don't want to feel like, wow, you being so disrespectful, or you really just don't understand the plight of a black man, or you don't understand duality, or you don't understand being black in America, period, or you don't understand like a poor teenager, or you don't understand. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So when I'm reading a biography, what I look for, like I said, is like this balance between telling the truth, being honest, but being respectful. And even, let me say this, full transparency, Jeff Pearlman is a white man. And I have read biographies by white men about black people that have been great. So I'm not saying that that's the reason why this is bad, because you can do this better. And I'll give you an example in a minute. But I do think because he has no lived experience as a black person, that, and he didn't check that. He didn't check it at the door. And I feel like that's so apparent. This was such a like sitting high, looking low kind of book. And again, very voyeuristic, very much like, I just didn't like it. An example of an author who was white, who I think he writes black biographies, and I think he does a good job, is David Ricks. Even when I read his biography on Marvin Gaye, I was like, dang, I don't think he likes Marvin Gaye for real. Like, as a man, I think he's an appreciator of his music and respects him, and they have some kind of relationship. But you can tell I just didn't think he liked him. But I could see, like, really, he really gave us a well-balanced book. And I've read plenty of biographies by David Ricks. He's white. But I feel like he acknowledges that and moves accordingly. With this book, I was so irritated, like on another level, because I'm like, dude, the way that you write in this is so TMZ-ish. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. This book opens up with the story about Afeni when she was pregnant with Tupac, how she like fought for her own freedom and represented herself in the courtroom when she was facing hundreds of years in prison. It talked about her issues and her life, again, in a very judgmental way. I ain't like that at all. I keep thinking that. I just didn't like it. Yeah. I don't know. I learned a lot about, I learned stuff, but I still feel like, I don't know. If this was I'm glad this ain't the only book I read about Tupac. Let me see what I got in my notes. I actually don't even have notes. I pulled up my notes. I got one bullet point that has like 5 question marks. And I'm just like, I really didn't like the way this was told. When I read MH Chaos, the story written by the CIA operative who was in charge of like surveilling the Black Panthers and radical leftist groups like that, I too felt like I didn't like the narrative that was being spun in the story. But it wasn't like, it was informative, but it wasn't disrespectful. It was just like, you're not about to convince me that the government is not doing X, Y, Z. I don't care. But I didn't feel gross reading. I just felt like, I read it. This man, I really didn't like this. And I wanted to. And even the stuff that I learned about him, about his people he was hanging with, his family, his upbringing, his sister, I just feel like he shouldn't have told this story. I don't even know. I don't know. There's that. There's that. I didn't like this, but again, it's not the first book that I read. So the other book, which I put up on the screen, is the authorized biography of Tupac. I did read that. The author of this book, was asked by Afeni to write this book. She was a childhood friend of Tupac. And this book had a balanced approach. She talked about Tupac's struggle. She talked about his stardom, and then how that, like, his persona or his celebrity personhood, whatever, how that was him in some ways and it wasn't him in other ways. And she talked about the struggles with his family, his upbringing. Like, all of these books pretty much talk about his childhood, his family life, his dad, his mom, sisters, him being a radical, his political views on some things. It was a really good, well-rounded book too. That I think, out of all of the books, out of all these biographies, that one is my favorite. She did a really good job. I also read an oral history of Tupac. This book, I liked it because it was creative in the way it was told. I don't have many oral histories now that I'm thinking about it. But the book starts out with like a chorus of people. So it goes in order, in the order that the people are introduced in the book. And it tells you at the front, and almost an index, who these people are, what they do, why do we care what they say about Tupac? And then you just have like chunks of people saying whatever it is about Tupac. So you got Tupac's life and history told through the lens of other people around him. And I just thought that was cool. Like, I thought that was cool. You know, I like that. Made me want to get a few other oral histories when I first read it. Then I also have Holla If You Hear Me. This book was good too. What I liked about this is the people that we get quotes from and conversations from are people in the industry, people that met Tupac, people that know his family, people that have worked with him and know him personally. So it's comments and quotes in here from Toni Morrison about hip hop in general and Tupac. Sonia Sanchez, who is a great poet, about hip hop and Tupac. Mos Def, Ray J, Warren G, Jada Pinkett Smith. And it also gives, like, this weaves the narrative together, but you have their quotes in here heavily. And I just thought that was pretty cool, the way that the author talked about even how he got to talk to them about it. And you can really feel that he was trying to give like a pretty balanced approach as well. So yeah, that was good. And then I have Tupac's book of poetry, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. This was good. My favorite part about this is, if you don't know, it's in his handwriting. So you see, like, I thought that was so cool. Let me see. Yeah. So he's got his actual handwriting, and then they typed it on the opposite page. I thought that was cool. And I do have a couple favorites. Let me see. My favorites are Sometimes I Cry, What a Fame, The Fear in the Heart of a Man, Two People with One Wish, The Promise, and In the Event of My Demise. This is a book of poems that he wrote around the age of 19, and they are about loneliness, being a black man, love, friendship, love for his family, his deepest, like, feelings, you know, being poor, a little bit of regret, some appreciation for some friends. And I just thought this was just so cool. And I remember, like, I remember reading this. Look at this. I remember reading this and thinking, like, I would be terrified if somebody found, like, my journal and published it. Nobody publishes my stuff, but I'm just saying, like, even in my household, if somebody just came in here and I'm long gone and they like, let's see what she wrote in this notebook, the thought of that is like, made me want to burn them right now and just throw them away. But these are really good, very heartfelt, and you got to see, like, the poet side of Tupac, you know, which is woven throughout all of these books. So yeah, that's that. If you want to read about Tupac, I'm not suggesting this unless you've already read other books. Like I said, there's information in here that I didn't get in any other books. There really is. But I was so disgusted with how he like portrayed a lot of people in this book and just set it up. It was just, I don't know. There was like no tact. And I really didn't like how it was done. Like I feel like you can tell the truth and still be respectful. And I think he was like gunning for this story so bad that it was just like, even when he talked about, like I told you in which book? And Holler If You Hear Me, this author talked about a time where he was trying to like what he said when he was trying to get an interview from like Snoop Dogg or Most Def or whatever, and like how he approached them. In this book, he talked about trying to get in touch with the mother in Brenda's Got a Baby, so Brenda. And I was just like, it was so many times in this book I rolled my eyes. I didn't like it. But that's it. That's it for me today. If you want to read about Tupac and you've already read his other books, give it a shot. You might like it. I wouldn't be recommending that as a first book at all. But my favorite one, like I said, is an authorized autobiography of Tupac. I'll have to show it somewhere when I find it. But yeah, that's it, y'all. Let me know if you read any of these, if you want to. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one.
Pages turning soft as silk, stories flowing like warm milk. A journey starts with every line, worlds unfolding in your mind. Bookmarks falling where dreams collide. Every cover's got a tale inside. Favorite reader, that's who you are. Traveling near, traveling far. Through every chapter